Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Rhythm Shift with another toy review coming back at you. And today I'm going to be taking a look at the G.I. Joe Classified Destro figure. So this is a figure that I'm very glad to have because as some of you may know, if you watched my previous toy reviews, I was a huge G.I. Joe fan growing up in the mid 80s to early 90s. Over here, G.I. Joe wasn't called G.I. Joe though, it was called Action Force. And my brother, who's older than me, was into the Star Wars toy line, which were 3.75 inches, I believe, tall. And once the Star Wars toy line ended in the mid-80s, he transitioned over to G.I. Joe because I guess they were the same scale, and you could fit Star Wars figures in G.I. Joe vehicles and G.I. Joe figures in Star Wars vehicles. So he just, I guess for him it was a natural progression, and because he was into it, I got into it. So I used to collect some of the figures too, and I remember we both thought Destro was a very cool looking character, but unfortunately we were never able to find him in the shops over here because he was a wave 3, was it? I believe it was a wave 3 figure. So he was one of the figures that by the time I started collecting, it was around wave 5, wave 6, just before the G.I. Joe movie hit, which was in 1987. So Destro was a slightly older figure, so he was very hard to come by for us over here. So now to finally be collecting G.I. Joe Classified, because since childhood I never collected any more G.I. Joe. Like, I know they've done updates of the 3.75 figures, but I was just never very happy with the way the sculpts looked at that scale. But now G.I. Joe Classified is in 6-inch scale, and they look right on point, I feel. Especially now since they've changed the design aesthetic to be a bit more in line with the original toy line. But Destro was, I think, one of the wave 1 figures, but he actually looks a lot like the vintage figure, so it's very easy for me to fall in love with this figure. So let's start with the packaging. So the packaging is the standard you'd expect to see for G.I. Joe Classified. As you can see, I've already taken the figure out of the box. You've got this nice artwork here of Destro with what looks like he's merged with the Cobra symbol, which is really cool because I always thought Destro's collar looked like a bit like a, you know, hood of a snake kind of thing. And you've got this portrait of Destro's eye, which goes around to the side of the box, which shows his battle mask. On the back of the box, oops, if I don't drop it, on the back of the box, here you have this great mural of G.I. Joe, man. So you've got Cobra Commander in the top right, one of my favourite characters, Destro, Baroness, some Alley Vipers, Cobra Ninjas, Roadblock, Gung Ho, Scarlet, Snake Eyes, Duke, a couple of what do they call them? Trouble Bubbles. And at the bottom you've got some of the G.I. Joe tanks. You've got a Sky Striker over there. There's even a Hiss tank somewhere, isn't there? No, I don't see a Hiss tank. Oh, the Hiss tank's up here. So yeah, it's a great, you know, explosive, really gets you in the feel for G.I. Joe, man. Because one of the cool things about the vintage 80s G.I. Joe figures was when you got the figure, you used to have the portrait with the like the pixelated explosion behind them. Those images were awesome. But what you also got in the vintage G.I. Joe, which was awesome, was file cards, which would tell you little bits of information about the characters, their backgrounds and stuff, which really helped in coming up with ideas for play patterns. But sadly, there's no bios on these modern figures. Now you do get these symbols on the side, where if you have the inclination to do so, you can go and look up what these mean on the Hasbro G.I. Joe website. But for me, that's boring. I don't want to do that. If I'm going to go on the internet to look at bios, I'll just go and look at some of the 80s archive bios for the characters, because you get much more out of those than wasting your time looking for shitty little things on Hasbro's website. So that's a bit of a fail there. But that aside, the figure out of the box, oh, I forgot to mention, there's a card in the back of the box which has a Cobra logo on it. If you want to use that for your displays, I suppose you could, but I don't want to do that. Now, let's get onto the figure. So here you have Destro himself. I believe his real name is supposed to be James McCullen. I think his name's James McCullen. It's been a while since I read the bios, but and he has his battle mask, which is what do you call it? Sort of like an ancestral thing that's passed down through generations. So Destro comes from a family of arms dealers, and he's the one who's in control of, is it Mars Industries, which supplies Cobra with all their weapons. Forgive me, it's been a while since I read the bio. I'm going off memory for the most part here, and it's been a while since I read the comic as well. But Destro was introduced in the comics, and he was a really great character, and he was portrayed as being the Baroness's love interest, which was also portrayed in the Sunbow animation as well. So Destro and the Baroness have quite a close relationship history, which I think is great for the characters. But in a way, it's kind of weird, you know. There's quite a few characters in G.I. Joe that have relationships. Like you've got Destro and the Baroness, then you've got Lady J and Flint, and then you've got Snake Eyes and Scarlet. Or if you're watching the Sunbow show, it would be Scarlet and Duke. But I never liked that pairing myself. I never liked that pairing of Scarlet and Duke. I was much more a fan of the comic where Scarlet was, you know, linked to Snake Eyes. I think that's a much better relationship. But I can understand why they changed it for the cartoon, because I guess it would be difficult to convey a love relationship between a man who never speaks, you know, because Snake Eyes doesn't speak, as we know. But anyway, Destro himself. The figure's cool. He's got his polished beryllium steel. If I see all this stuff, I'm going off memory. I think his helmet's made of polished beryllium steel, because there's a issue in the comics where he's fighting General Hawk, and Hawk's trying to punch him in the head, and Destro says, you know, it's no good against polished beryllium steel and whatever. So there's that. He's got his mask, and it looks great. You know, it's in silver, and it looks reflective and really, really nice. He's got his medallion around his neck here, and you can see his natural skin tone underneath his costume hair. And yeah, it looks very much like the vintage one, even down to the missiles on his arm. He's got the wrist missiles there. He's got his gun holster, and it comes with a golden gun and a gun with a sniper scope on it. But it's a really good looking figure. You know, this is what you want from Destro, man. He looks serious, man, and imposing. So let's talk about his articulation, and then we'll go over his accessories. So articulation wise, you can look left, right. I think he can go up. Yeah, he can. It's just a little bit stiff on that joint. And you can look a little bit down. You can rotate at the bicep, like so, 360. Raise up laterally at the bicep. Now these have butterfly joints, which is really nice to see on these figures. He's got upper bicep cut rotation. Double hinged elbows, so you get a very deep bend, which can go that far. He has a wrist rotation, and on his wrists he has a up and down motion, so a motion like this, up and down. And same on the right hand, same up and down motion. Now he has an ab crunch, which goes that far, can also go back quite far. He has a waist rotation, forgive me. Waist rotation. He can kick forward that far. Going backwards, not so much. Now, what I should point out is that the gun holster is attached to the leg and also to the waist, but that doesn't hinder articulation at all. He can move very freely because it's a soft plastic, and it's not glued to his leg, say the way that the Empire Strikes Back Black Series Han Solo, the holster was glued to his leg, which is annoying. I had to cut that. Nonetheless, you can do the splits out about that far, probably further if I took the gun out of the holster. Let's do that. Go that far. Actually, full splits on Destro. And they have this drop down hinge joint at the hips, which is interesting. It allows for more range of motion, but you can just push that back up and it goes back into place. He has an upper thigh cut rotation there. Double hinged knees, so you get a great deep bend. And for military figures, I mean, you really want them to be able to crouch down and stuff, so that's great. You can do that. Upper boot rotation there. Then he has an ankle pivot and up and down motion on his ankles. So there's a lot of articulation for these figures, and that's a part of the reason why I enjoy collecting G.I. Joe Classified as well as Power Rangers Lightning. because the articulation is really on point with these figures. You can really get them into great dynamic poses without having to work too hard. So let's get Destro in a pose like he's shooting. Now I should mention, these don't come with display stands. These are my own display stands that I have before, and I cast and I mold them to make more. But yeah, this is Destro in a pose. He looks great. Now he's got 2 weapons and a briefcase. So let's look at his accessories. First of all, the gun in his hand, as you can see, is a golden gun. And this seems to be, I think this is a unique sculpt. It's not the same as the one that comes with Duke, I don't think. I think this is an original sculpt. And he also has a gun with a scope on it. So this is his gun there. It also comes with a briefcase with a Cobra emblem on both sides. So you've got the red Cobra emblem there, and you've got a Cobra emblem in black, which is not visible very well. So I suppose when he's not wanting to make it bait that he's working for Cobra, he walks with it on that side, I suppose. But you can actually open this up, and inside you'll find it has a load of Federal Reserve notes, FRNs, and also a computer. So it's like he's just going to make a transaction where he's, you know, I guess selling some HISS tanks to Cobra Commander, or some other weapons to some other person who is supplying arms to. Because Destro is kind of like, he's an arms dealer essentially, and he'll sell to the highest bidder. It's all about profit in a sense, although he does have a sense of a weird sense of honor about him. So that's Destro. And what have we got next? Let's put his weapons in his hands. So you've already seen what that gun looks like in his hand already. Does it fit in his holster? I believe it does. So if you really wanted to, you could put this golden gun in this holster. But I kind of prefer to put the other gun in the holster, because this gun kind of fits inside the briefcase. So you can have it as like a hidden weapon. If the deal goes sour, you can just pull out the gun and, you know, blast some people. So I put that in there. Let's put this in his hand. So to put it in his hand, you just slip it through the fingers, which is a little tricky because it's got quite a tight grip, so you kind of got to prise it in there. Bear with me while I do this. Right, let's just get his fingers separated and just prise it in gently. And that sits in there like so. Yep, so now he's holding the briefcase. As you can see, he can carry the briefcase very nicely. And from there, I'm going to put the other gun in his hand, if I can get his hand straightened out. There. This gun goes in this hand, or you could put it in his left hand if you wanted to, but I guess I'll make the character right-handed because the holster's on his right hip. So yeah, he can hold this gun, and now Destro is ready for any situation he comes against. Ready to kill or be killed, or to sell and make more money. So there's Destro looking great, man. Really, really happy with this figure. I mean, you could say he's a little bit light on accessories, but what else would you really give Destro? I mean, he's got... it really ticks the boxes for what this character needs, I suppose. Let me leave the gun in his hand because it looks kind of cool. So there's Destro. Now let's have a look at him in comparison to some other figures. We're going to start with G.I. Joe. So let's start with his love interest, the Baroness. So let's get the Baroness here. Is this... Hold on a minute. I'm wondering if the golden guns that Baroness comes with are the same that comes with Destro. Let me just check that. Open this case. No, it's a different sculpt. So the Baroness also comes with some golden guns, but it is a different sculpt, as you can see here. In fact, the Baroness's gun looks more like the one that comes with Duke, but just in gold. I have to check that to be sure if it's the same sculpt. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But let's give Destro his gun back in his briefcase. Close the briefcase nicely. Now that briefcase is quite secure. You can open and close it without fear of it breaking. Now here he is alongside his love interest, the Baroness. She stands up. It's a really great storyline from the comic, actually. The way Destro and Baroness are introduced as characters that have a relationship between each other, because Not to spoil anything, there's a really great storyline between the Baroness, Cobra Commander, Major Blood, and the way that situation goes down is really, really cool. And it's actually referenced in the Baroness's file card. You know, it says that the Baroness underwent extensive plastic surgery, but if you read the Marvel comics, you'll get to know why exactly she had to have that plastic surgery. But Destro stands in at about 6.5 inches. Baroness is also somewhat quite tall, but she comes about 6.25 inches, so it looks good together. Because sometimes with these toy lines, they make the women too tall so that they don't look good when stood next to the male figures, and I think the Baroness with Destro at this kind of scale looks really, really nice. So I think that's a good pairing with the gun, so you can see Destro's face. Yeah, that looks like a good couple there. Let's put some other characters in. We've got a couple of Cobra Troopers here. So this is how he looks, a bit of a Cobra Trooper. That looks good. Who else have I got? Have I got any other G.I. Joes to hand? I've got the Cobra Commander himself. So let's put his Commander-in-Chief in place. So here's how Destro looks with alongside the King of Cobra himself, Cobra Commander. That kind of rhymed, King of Cobra himself. Right. There we go. So there you got the upper make this more centered. The upper command of Cobra are all together there. Cobra Commander and Destro and Baroness, the upper echelon of Cobra's leadership. And they look good. They look very, very good. Let's get a hero, G.I. Joe himself. Let's get a Joe in. We've got Snake Eyes here, who I already reviewed, so you should know what to expect from that figure if you've watched my other reviews. So Snake Eyes stands in like so. Let me take the Commander out and see Snake Eyes versus Destro. So that's that. Snake Eyes isn't the tallest Joe as well. Snake Eyes has got quite a slim build, but he looks good alongside Destro. There you go. So that's Destro for you. He looks good. I think he looks very good. Very happy with how the figure is sculpted. The articulation is great, and the price point is very good for these G.I. Joe Classified if you can find them at retail, which I was fortunately able to do with Destro. Some other characters I wasn't so lucky with, and I had to resort to eBay because we don't have Target over here. So a lot of them Target exclusives are a real bitch to get here, and you have no choice but to pay aftermarket prices for them, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get access to them, because we don't have Target in this country, which is a shame, but it's just, you know, part of life, part of toy collecting, something you have to deal with as a toy fan. You know, not every toy is going to be released over here in the UK. But you know, you roll with the punches. So let's put Destro like so. Get a Cobra Trooper in, looking like in a more dynamic type of action, like that. Maybe get one more Cobra Trooper in there. Yeah, let's get one more Trooper in there. And there you have it. G.I. Joe Classified, looking sharp. Let's put him on a rotation, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. So, G.I. Joe Classified Destro, what do I think? I think this is a great figure, and it's really hitting me with the nostalgia points for the fact that I finally have a Destro. Because there's one figure that I never got. Same with, who did I also want a lot? I wanted the original Cobra Commander with a silver faceplate like this one. Couldn't get him. I ended up getting the version 3 Cobra Commander. I would have liked to have got the hooded one too, hooded Cobra Commander. Flint I never had. Shipwreck I never had. Lady J I never had. There was quite a few figures that I never had. You know, I had a lot of the later ones, as I say, from 85 onwards. So yeah, as an adult, and to be collecting G.I. Joe again, it's nice to be able to have the figures that I never had and always wanted. and Destro is certainly one of them. He's a great character, great design, very integral to the overall G.I. Joe plot, both in the comics and in the Sunbow animation. So it's like you can't have G1 Transformers without having a Megatron or a Soundwave or a Starscream. Those are the three integral villain characters from, you know, season 1 or 2 Transformers. Likewise with G.I. Joe, even as Serpentor was introduced later on, and a lot of other characters such as Dr. Mindbender, Destro was one of those core original villains for G.I. Joe. So yeah, definitely a figure that's much needed in any G.I. Joe classified collection. So how would I rate him out of 10? A solid 8. A solid 8, you know. And the only reason why he doesn't score higher is because his accessories are quite simple. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a backpack, but he does have a briefcase, I suppose, which is fine. But he has space to have a backpack if you want to give him someone else's backpack, or if you're waiting for the Valaverse Action Force accessory kits to come along, you'll be able to equip him how you see fit. But otherwise, he's a solid figure. You couldn't really ask for more from a Destro, so he's a solid figure, and I would definitely recommend him to any G.I. Joe fan. So yeah, that's been my review of G.I. Joe Classified Destro. He was a Wave 1 figure. Wave 1 consisted of Destro here, Scarlet, Duke, Snake Eyes and Roadblock. So there's 5 figures in that initial wave. And since then, I don't think we've ever got a full wave. I mean, you've had some Target exclusives, which don't really count as waves because they're just sold at Target. And then you've had just figures dropped here and there. I mean, you've got Gung Ho, Cobra Commander and Red Ninja, but that was only 3 figures. Then you got the Cobra Trooper and Zartan, that was just 2 figures. Then you got Lady J and Flint, which again was 2 figures. And more recently you have actually got a wave of the movie G.I. Joe figures, which I saw them in the shop last week, and the sculpts look really weak. I mean, the new Snake Eyes figure from the movie just looks really crap compared to the original release Snake Eyes. The Storm Shadow has some weird shit going on with his paint scheme. He doesn't look white, he looks more like an off-white, you know. And he's got some weird paint on his fingertips as well, which is orange, which makes him look weird, which I noticed when I looked at the figure in the shop. So I'll probably be skipping him. The only figure from that wave that I think is decent is the Baroness, but I'm not really sure if I need another Baroness figure since I've already got this classified one. But yeah, as I was saying, that's the only time we've got more than 3 figures in a wave since this line really started. So hopefully that's going to change going forward, and Hasbro can get their shit together and give us more figures per wave and stop them being Target exclusives on characters that should be in regular waves, such as Beachhead or even the Cobra Viper. You know, Viper's an army builder, so why would you make him an exclusive? But they've done it with the Cobra Trooper too, but at least they've done a regular release here, so you can actually get some troopers to army build. But anyway, that's enough about that. That's been my review of the G.I. Joe Classified Destro figure. Very good figure, highly recommended if you love G.I. Joe, or as we called it, Action Force over here. And yeah, on to the next review, and hopefully I'll see you then. Take care for now.